Welcome to the Dead Bedroom Revival Podcast. My name is Curry, your host, and I'm very, very excited to be making this episode. Today, I discovered the most amazing human being on the planet because I was on Reddit, and like you do, I go through Reddit so I can speak to people, I try and help people, have conversations with people, and somebody asked a question, and somebody within the comments put a link. And I discovered they were asking about that they were in a sexless relationship, they left sexless relationship, but now in a new relationship. What are the things I need to do to avoid going again into a sexless relationship? My answer was, well, you should have fixed yourself and understood why you got into the sexless relationship in the first place before you got into another relationship. That's how I would approach it. But somebody posted a link to an article by Dr. Rodman Witten, and she's absolutely amazing. And she's mentioned 10 things that you need to know, or 10 signs to see that somebody will lose their sex, or you like say 10 things that will to avoid a sexless relationship with somebody. So something along those lines. I've actually botched the title, but yeah, it's 10 signs that you need to. They 10 red flags basically to stop you going into a sexless relationship. Oh, that was difficult. But anyways, yeah, she wrote all that stuff. I read it, and then there was a link to a podcast. I went to the podcast, and then listened to the actual episode, and then since then I sort of binged into at least 6 or 7 episodes back to back. So best 2 hours of my life, I would say. But yeah, it was absolutely incredible. The stuff that she was talking about, one of them absolutely amazing, because on this podcast I've sort of talked about habits and behaviors and certain things that you need to do. And if you notice from all the episodes that we've talked about fortifying your mind and focusing on working on yourself. So on your self-confidence, on your confidence, working on your mental well-being. And as you fortify and get yourself stronger in your mental well-being and really feeling good about yourself, you're in a better place to actually effect change within your relationship. So that's the sort of approach I've taken into it. I talk about this as a coach, and I would like to think I've not really gone into the deep work where you're talking about trauma, childhood trauma, and how that affects your relationship, because I'm not qualified to do so. So, and I understand that plays a huge part. And the way Dr. Rodman Witten talked about it, it was absolutely incredible. She talked about how your childhood trauma from your parents or one parent, that the fact that they didn't listen to what you had to say, didn't listen to your opinions, didn't meet your emotional needs as a child, left you deficient. And because you felt deficient, you've walked around through life, formed certain behaviors, formed certain ways of operating as a person. And those things, if you do that within a relationship, set you up for the same sort of dynamic within your relationship. I thought that was powerful. And that's why you can go for 10 years in a sexless relationship, because you feel like you don't deserve that love. You don't deserve that affection and those type of feelings. And I thought it was really powerful, because she went on to say that when we are in that sort of scenario, and then you've got into that sort of scenario based on that kind of trauma, we fixate on sex as a way of connection, but really what you want is not the sex, it's the actual connection, the actual reassurance, those emotional needs. Those are the ones that you want to feel that needs to be filled and get met. And because you cannot control that from your wife, she might be also going through her own childhood trauma. So it becomes this hodgepodge of mess that is where you find yourself in this scenario. And she did talk about the natural decrease within a relationship in terms of libido, especially on women's side when she has a child, and then there's other life events that happen, so to do with work and moving to the house, buying a house. There's certain things that, again, can be factors in terms of anxiety or stress levels. Those things are quite a lot of factors that I've seen personally. So it was absolutely amazing that when you see it from that perspective, it's probably sex is not the thing that's going to fix your relationship. You might want to have 2 or 3 more times per week, but if it isn't high quality sex where you feel connected, where you feel reassured, where you feel wanted and treasured, it becomes it just becomes unfulfilling. So again, it was so incredible to listen to a podcast, and I advise you, don't. I'm just sort of summarizing, and I probably messed up her explanations. So I would advise you just go to her podcast and go and see it. I'll put the description below because I forgot the podcast name, but her name is Dr. Rodman Witten. So it's Witten is in Witten, and you can look her up on Spotify. And like, her podcast was absolutely amazing. So I thought I'll share that with you guys. And because I've already given you a call to action, I'm not going to even plug in anything of mine. I want you to go to her podcast. And if you live in America, hit her up and you can start maybe talk about trauma. I'm sure she can help you with some stuff to do with that. So when you do work on your trauma and even work on things from your past, you would find it more valuable in your relationship when you can work on that, so that even if you have 3 weeks without sex, you can still find your relationship fulfilling, because it's quite a weird way of thinking if you think that your happiness is only derived from you having sex X amount per week. If you think of it from that perspective, then your whole entire day is ruined from the time you wake up because of the 4 or 5 days that you've not had sex or any contact. It's a horrible way to live. And especially if I think the one amazing part that she said is that you say you love your wife and you say you want to be with her or your partner. What if from some freakish accident she lost the ability to have sex or couldn't have sex? Would you leave her? And if you wouldn't, it goes to show nothing would have changed. You're still not having sex. So there has to be much more within the relationship than just the sex. I'm actually not saying that do not ask for sex. I'm not saying it's not important. Yes, it is important. But I'm just saying that the situation that we're in, where you are in a sexless relationship, is the cure isn't having sex. Like, having more sex isn't the cure for this. The actual cure is working on yourself. And hopefully I've driven that home enough for you to understand that. Because when you do, I can guarantee you will actually have more frequent sex, but it becomes quality sex as well, because it's more fulfilling when it's quality sex. So even if you have it once a week, it is amazing. It's quality. It's amazing. Like, takes you to beyond the orgasm. So I've said enough. Got to go and check her out, Dr. Rodman Witten. Incredible lady. Absolutely changed my life from the few things that I've listened to her. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. See you soon.